King Solomon Baptist Church. Always glad to be with you all, especially when it's Exhale Friday. It's the time and opportunity for
WOLB Baltimore and WERQ FM HD3 Baltimore.
The views and opinions of the guest and host you hear on 1010 WOLB
are not necessarily those of the staff and management of Radio 1, its sponsors, or advertisers.
It's done unto you as you believe. It's done unto you as you believe.
I'm gonna get there, yes, somehow. Push my way through the crowd. I'm gonna grab you by the hand to a place we will stand. Stand proud, no fear, it's clear, I believe in you. I believe in me. Oh yeah, I believe that we can make this dream a reality.
Yes, I believe in you, you believe in me, and I believe that we can make our dreams a reality. Welcome to each and every one of you to Patrick Henderson's Meet the People here on WOLB 1010 Baltimore on this beautiful, beautiful day. It's not going to be fall yet. We still got some hot weather coming up in here on us over the next few days, but we're thankful to just be alive and blessing God for the opportunity to come to you again here and to say thank you. Thank you to the Lord for another day. Thank you to the Lord for a peace that passes all understanding. God is so good. And I just want to share with you today a few things that we're going to be discussing. James is a few minutes late because he's stuck in traffic. But we're going to get right into it. And the first thing we're going to do, I see Richard is here. Good morning, Richard. He's already locked in. Let me see, get him on the phone. Hi, Richard. How are you?
Oh, right now I have just found something that I was looking for that we had talked about, and especially when we get into that discussion of the lawsuits.
Okay.
That's gonna blow you out of the water.
Well, just to give you an indication of what we're going to be talking about today, the lawsuits that are plaguing the city, they're mounting, and there are policemen that are still on the force that have done many of these atrocities, but haven't been fired yet. So don't go nowhere. You don't want to touch that dial. Thank you. I love you so much, my brother, because Richard don't play. When we say something to him, he goes and digs up the 411, and we're going to be talking about that as we progress here. And James Morant, James C. Jimmy, how are you today?
I'm doing okay.
He's just getting his headphones on.
We got to dock him for being late.
We got to dock him for being late. How are you today, sir?
I'm fine.
Let me see here. What microphone is that? That is microphone 5. Oh, there we go now. Talk to me now.
All right. Good morning.
There you are.
5-car accident in Leakin Park.
Which is unbelievable. There's never anything happening there, but they say that's Dead Man's Curve up there.
Goodness.
Well,
this was at the entrance.
What else is new? They find about 500,000 bodies in there for over the years.
So 5 more just doesn't matter.
Adds to the. Well, don't get me started. Well, we're all here, and how can I forget our producer and incredible superhuman being, Jason Rodriguez. How are you today, Jason?
Good morning, family. Just want to remind everyone we are now streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, as well as Periscope. That is the Twitter version of Facebook, by the way. You can look in on us. All you have to do is use the hashtag Meet the People, all one word, and you'll get to see everyone in the studio in all their glory, including Mr. Patrick Henderson, who is back from Texas.
Yes, I'm back from Texas. Yes. And we're going to talk all about it. James, do you recognize this tie?
I do recognize that tie. You have good taste.
Thank you. No, you have good taste. I complimented James on a tie one day, and he emptied his closet of the ones he no longer wore. I told you were going to regret giving me these ties because this one is kicking. When I walked in the door to the thing, people went, "Oh, you sure is dressed up." But a tie to a man's outfit is what a hat is to a woman's outfit. This is what sets it off. I can wear the same suit every day with a different tie, and people go, "Ooh, where'd you get that?"
Mm-hmm.
So thank you again for this beautiful tie.
You're
and
welcome.
those of you that are looking on Facebook, you can see what it is. It's blue, black, and white. I like that.
Jimmy's never gotten me anything special.
Hey, I got some more ties. You want some?
Hey, I could definitely always use a tie.
I'm still cleaning the closet.
Well, let us bow our heads and bless God for this another week. If you're near a radio, we would love for you to touch it, and we might touch and agree. Now, if you're driving, don't do that, and if you can't do it on your job or whatever, but pray in your spirit right now. Oh God, our Father, Lord, we love you, and we thank you for another day, another week, oh God, that is not promised to you, but we are thankful for every day that you give us, oh God, to wake up clothed in our right minds, to get up and clean it up and wash it up real good and come all out in the public and mix and mingle with each other and love on one another, oh God. Oh Lord, give us a spirit of forgiveness, oh God, as we are forgiven. Help us to give one another, Lord. Let us start this week, oh God, as a day of renewal, as a day of restoration. Let us not harbor and hang in the past, oh God, because there's nothing we can do about it. Oh God, I know Rosalie, my mama, told me you have to treat folks with a long handled spoon, oh God, but there's no reason to be nasty, oh God. Help us to be more loving and kind to one another. Lord, bless our city, oh God. Bless every elected official, oh God, whether they belong there or not. Help them, oh God, as we try to get through these mass murders that are taking our young people out in every day, and every way, oh God. Oh Lord, touch those children that are touched by lead, oh God, which I believe is the main reason for this madness, oh God. Touch their hearts, Lord, and touch the city fathers, oh God, and let them create a place where these young people can come in, oh God, and get help. Even their parents, oh God, are laden with lead, oh God. It's so bad that even in their DNA, it's in their bone marrow, God, and they're having babies and passing the lead poisoning on to their children. God help us. God help us. God help us. Oh, Lord, we love you so much, Lord, and we know it's not magic, oh God. We know we can do nothing. Faith without works is dead. So we ask you as we get up off of our knees, oh God, encourage our hearts, oh God. Give us a protesting spirit, oh God. Let us speak against the wrongs of against our people, oh God, as they are perpetrated sometimes by the very people that we pay to protect us. Lord, we love you so much, and we thank you for each other, whether we remember to or not. Bless each family, every little child that's going to school. Protect them, oh God. Let no bullet, let no harm befall them, or coming home, going home, or even in school, oh God. Bless our children, oh God. Help the bullying to stop. Help the parents to understand that when they beat their children to wake them up to go to school, they're going to be angry all day as adults would be. Help us, Lord, to abide in love, and remember the love we show our children will be the love that they will show others. We love you and we thank you for this time together. In thy Son, Jesus Christ's name, I pray. Amen.
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 Amen. Well, it's a lot going on, as James C. Morant just brought up. I am just returning from Houston, Texas, from a 4-day symposium with V. Michael McKay and Yolanda Adams. And the name of that symposium was Hymns for Him. And basically, it was a debate on the church wars, the music that is going on in our churches, and whether that music should be praise and worship, or whether it should be the hymns of the church that we're all familiar with, many of us are, and which is the most important and which is the most relative. And my opinion about it is that the older people, they revere those songs because they're not only are they nostalgic, but they are the songs that carry them and they learned during their youth, and they sang probably pretty regularly in church. Whereas the younger people, the millennials, like the praise and worship because it is glorifying God, and they consider that more relative than worshiping songs and music that a lot of the millennials contend is slave music written by our enslavers, such as Amazing Grace. They find that song difficult to digest. We understand that God's grace is amazing, but when you look at the writer, and he was one of the biggest slave owners in Europe, in Britain, they have problems with that. So there was a great confab, and I was shocked when I got there because they handed me a badge and it said Patrick Henderson Icon, Praise and Worship Music. Some of you might know that I was the first one to do praise and worship music in the African American Church as minister of music of West Angeles Church of God in Christ for 20 years. Bishop Blake came to me one day and said to me, Patrick, there's a new sound, there's a new music that's taking place in the charismatic white churches. And I want to bring that into our church because we have a spectator service, and churches that are not singing are not growing. And he set me out, brought me a wonderful book called The Changing Sound of Church Music by Paul Walgamuth, and it helped me to implement this program. Anyway, to make a long story short, this past weekend in Houston, I told the story, and I tell you what, I was so shocked by the number of horror stories, James, that the ministers of music told me that they had to go through to implement this praise and worship music in their churches. Some of them were fired from the churches that they had been grown up in and became ministers of music. Some of them quit the church altogether because they were stuck in molds that the ministers of music knew was necessary to keep the church moving forward. And the horror stories. I've got some horror stories myself when we tried to do it in West Angeles. But what is going on is there is a shift that is taking place. There is the largest decline in church attendance in America in its history after the recession of 2008. It was the first time in American history that people didn't run back to church, didn't turn back to God. They did not do it. And consequently, it has been going on for the past 15 years that people are not going to church like they used to, as their parents did. And there are many reasons for it. Scandals. Also, they're tired of all the pageantry, all the people sitting and looking and watching all the bishops and all these highfalutin people coming in there shouting at him, screaming at him. As my brother, who's a doctor, stopped going altogether because he said he was tired of people screaming at him. So there are many reasons why they're not going to church. I believe that there can be a mixture of praise and worship and hymns, as I do every Sunday at Wayman Memorial AME Church over in Pigtown. I know there is a way to do it. But James, you attended an event last evening at New Shiloh, and you were sort of shocked at the fact that the low sort of representation of gospel music.
Yes. This is a shout out and a reaction. It was the Carter School of Music 25th anniversary. It's headquartered at Shiloh, New Shiloh Baptist Church, and they had wonderful people there. Janice Chandler, Tim, the Community Concert Choir of Baltimore, Hands in Harmony with Patrick Alston and J.D. Alston, Hollis McDaniel, Candace Potts, if you've ever heard her, just a fabulous voice, Cameron Potts. And so it was well attended, and my view is that there was a variety of music, but they kept the gospel to the very end. And my reaction to that is that gospel is a very unique genre. And if anything, a lot of times we ought to promote that. And what we sometimes tend to do is err on the side of sort of European doctrinal music. And so that's what I saw yesterday. And so, Patrick, you thought you and I were going to be battling, but it's not really a battle. It's just an observation that, for example, when I go to Europe, there is a yearning for gospel music.
Yes.
We were, back in '96, we took Kirk Franklin music to the masses. And what I found is there wasn't as much receptivity to the Kirk Franklin kind of music at that time than there was to the James Cleveland.
Traditional.
And the Thomas Dorsey. And it has evolved, but it has not... the traditional is still more prevalent there in terms of the big gospel programs. And the only reason that you and I have comments about this is that I think that we are shortchanging ourselves by not promoting unique black contributions to music.
I agree 100%.
And you have done that by sort of fusing the richness of the black music and the black experience with a contemporary flair, but you never lost. There's a Tremaine song. You never lost your praise.
No, man, never.
And
can.
so you know, I always commend you as an icon, and you know, I have played your music down through the years.
I didn't even know it. One of the songs from the Look to Jesus album, which had the Doobie Brothers playing on it. All That I Need, he put on Facebook, and it's got so many likes and people saying they remember that song.
And I have to tell you, I went to Patrick Church before I knew him. This was I diverted myself to go to Los Angeles because I was on business someplace else, and they had these fairs where you could stop by Los Angeles. So I stopped by Los Angeles because I wanted to hear this great choir and these great musicians at this church called the West Los Angeles Church of God in Christ.
West Angeles, ain't no loss in it. We found. Go ahead.
Well, back then it was West Los Angeles. So I went, and people said, you are going on the worst Sunday. It's that sanctuary choir that's going to be singing.
No, it was the traditional. It wasn't sanctuary.
Well, I thought
you thought they said? Yes.
I thought they had said sanctuary.
Sanctuary was always the star choir.
Whatever choir was I went to on that day, it was supposed to be the worst choir of the day. And I said, they have put me under a pew here in this church with the worst choir. It was absolutely fabulous.
Well, we had Daryl Coley as as one of the directors of the choir, Anthony Wilkins, who wrote That's When You Bless Me, and Jimmy and Michael. It was just really a renaissance period. But what I want to say about what happened the other night, last night, I have sent people to the School of Music there, and people have come back and said, well, thank you, Patrick, for the recommendation, but I love gospel music. And there was a put down, there was a deriding of gospel music, and I just wanted to learn how to use my voice no matter what kind of music I did. They don't teach gospel music there. And even when Dr. Carter was there, Dr. Nathan Carter, I had talked to him about it, and they didn't change it. So they seem to be, that's the way that they run things. I'm not going to say stuck in the ways, because maybe there's a time for a regime change. I know Patrick Austin, who is probably, to me, considered the greatest pipe organist living, did a post in Facebook a few weeks ago talking about all these degrees that he has, and he can't use them because nobody wants them anymore. There's not a big market for his skill sets. Now, he's working at churches like New Shiloh, where I don't know if he's the minister of music.
He's called a music consultant.
He's a music consultant, but I think he plays the pipe organ there, doesn't he?
He plays a little bit of everything. He played last night.
Yeah, he's just an amazing talent, but he was complaining. And so I'm just wondering if all this education is really coming into play for furnishing ministers of music for our churches right now, because I know a lot of these great old pipe organists that can't find a job anymore. And I'm just wondering if the church is suffering because we're so stuck on one side of things and we're not realizing the potency of incorporating them all. So that's all I really wanted to say about that. Did you want to say something, Jay?
Yeah, we talked a little bit about this last week, Patrick, and there was an interview I saw going back 2017 with B. Shade from the Ricky Smiley morning show with Tone. And he was asked, like, why is the churches not being filled? Like, why do you feel the churches are losing its membership? And he said two things: the quartet, because a lot of the churches had gotten rid of the quartets, which he felt was, something that folks really came to the churches to come see, was the powerful quartets, and the building of the gospel choirs in the churches, because he felt that was truly the mortar to the brick within the church.
Yes.
If you couldn't do anything else, if you couldn't find any other way to serve in the church,
you could sing in the choir.
You could sing in the choir and be a part of something.
Well, I agree with him to a degree. To understand that right now, the state that we're in, I just left the biggest, probably one of the most exclusive symposiums that has been held, I say, since the Council of Nicaea. Okay, because you had every major minister of music of every mega church in the town, in the nation, who was invited, invitation only. And I talked to a number of them, and they don't even have choirs anymore. People don't have time for choirs anymore. They've got their children, their grandchildren and stuff. They don't have time to come out anymore on nights doing rehearsals. I have my rehearsals on Saturday, and I still can't get a quorum sometimes. So things and times have changed. People know that they don't have to go to church anymore to believe in God and to love God.
But I think a lot of that, though, again, has to do with the dissolving of the choirs. If the choirs still had a strong foundation, people used to,
I know, but you're not listening.
Want to do whatever they wanted to do to get into that choir.
The reason the choirs are not there is because folks don't have time, Jay. It's not that they don't want to anymore, but I'm telling you, the millennials are absent from the church, and they without young people, you just don't have it. My choir, I have an aging choir, and I have to work really diligently with them to get them to do things. But the people just coming to church and just saying, I want to sing, those days are gone. And somebody said they thought maybe television might have had something to do with it, when people can just sit at home all day.
No, I said you could phone it in.
That's what you said. You could phone it in.
I said you go on your iPad or go on your Android and just look at the service, and then go back to texting.
Go back to whatever you were doing. That's one of the flaws. But I'm telling you, what I'm reading, the duns, they're called. That's the people that are done with church. It's much more complicated than that. Here, we're going to take a couple of calls on this subject. Ray, welcome to Patrick Henderson's Meet the People. Do you have a question or comment, sir?
Comment. All institutions, brothers, all institutions, healthcare, education, religious, are simply a reflection of family. The strength of the family is what strengthens any institution. Where you have strong school systems, you have strong parents.
Hopefully.
Where you have strong healthcare systems and people working in there, you have strong parents. Customer service is learned the first 18 years at home, not in the workplace.
I agree with you.
The church's dilemma is the dilemma that we are not producing the type of family people we used to. In my day, and I'm in your age range, it didn't matter what the music was in church. We had to go to church. I didn't like the music that my grandparents and mothers listened to in church. That wasn't the purpose. The purpose was for me to sit there diligently and sooner or later get that word. Not that the music cannot be an addendum, an additional pleasure, but that was not the goal. Incidentally, music is simply a reflection of the times we live in. During the 60s, the music became revolutionary. During the crack epidemic, we went hardcore with rap. And all of that permeated from the disintegration of the family. And for some reason, we do not want to talk about the relationship between our men and our women strengthening us in our homes, in our community.
I agree with you.
Nation. And until we do that, all institutions will fall.
Ray, let me say something to you. Hold on, sir. Hold on. It's a two-way conversation. I appreciate your thoughts, and to a degree, I agree with you. But you must remember, from the times of David, music was the leading thing that they did. The Jews were the first to do it, and he introduced what was called Davidic worship. So you're not right, sir. You're incorrect. Even went to the Council of Nicaea and to the Council of Laodicea. music. They argued about it. It got so bad that they stopped the people from singing for almost 200 years. And it wasn't until Martin Luther came in and said the church and the people need to be singing. So you're a bit incorrect. And I've never seen a church that thrives without a thriving music department. Thank you for your time.
And I have to debate you again on this, Patrick, because what I see Christian rock selling out huge auditoriums. I see hip hop and alternative gospel selling out concert venues. I'm telling you that the reason why you may be disconnecting from the millennials is because you're not playing their generation of music.
That's not true, Jason. They got smoke bombs in these churches, spotlights. They doing everything they can to try to attract them. It ain't working.
Come into my church and you have so many lights that sometimes you think you're going to have an epileptic
I know
fit.
that's not true,
really,
Jay. I'm sorry. You know, I live
There's a lot of churches though I see that don't have that.
I know, but I'm telling you, that ain't the reason. The reason they're not coming is for scandals. They don't like the piety. Everybody's so holier than thou. If they come in there not dressed right, they sit them in the back, and the ushers look at them like they're gonna steal something.
So what's bringing them into these alternative places of worship where they're playing Christian rock and
you'll find that those are normally white people, and even what's the big black gospel rapper? What's his name? Oh, I can't think of his name. Who was upset because of the racism that he was finding in the contemporary Christian market, and he did it, and they turned their backs on him. So it's the same argument everywhere. Let me keep going here. Thomas, do you have a question or comment, sir?
Hey guys, I got a comment about this topic.
Please.
What I've come to find out is you have a lot of people actually destroying the choirs. They're leaning more toward the praise and worship, you know, where they pick their select people that they want to sing with them and want everybody else to boost them and support them. But there's some people, guys, that are basically destroying the choir element of the worship service to go toward the praise and worship, you know. They figure with a praise and worship team or leaders, you know, that everything's going to be focused on them versus the whole choir in itself.
Well, I am the one that implemented that program, and I agree with you 100%. I think it's a misplaced sense of value. Also, the problem is with the praise teams is most of the time they're the very best singers in the church. And so when they come up and sing, it's again, you get spectator. People are looking and watching and waiting for them to do some fiery run that's going to go up and down the people's spine. And that is a misplaced. That's not what it was about. We never set it up that way at West Angers when we did it. We would start the song and then the singers would back off the microphones so we could hear the congregation sing. Right. So they don't understand what this art is supposed to be. You're right, they're replacing the choir, but a lot of folks can't get enough folks to be in the choir. So the praise team is all they have. Thanks.
And the reason that is, Patrick, is because certain praise and worship leaders only want to surround themselves with their that they hang with.
Well, you know, normally if they're a director and stuff, you know, we kind of perfectionists. You know, we're crazy ministers of music because we're artists, and most musicians have a little bit. You know, the elevator goes up the other side of the floor sometimes, but that's what brings us out of the box and helps us to be creative geniuses and to change and alter things. But I agree with you 100%.
Tend to be a little eccentric.
Yeah, always.
I'm so old-fashioned.
Thomas.
I grew up in a rather traditional Baptist church, so we had choirs. We had 10 choirs in our church. The senior choir number 1, the senior choir number 2, the gospel jewels, the choraleers. I mean, there were all these groups. There were 10 of them, and so the choir was
drop Thomas for me.
The choir was a focus as opposed to a worship team. It wasn't until I guess about the last 20 years.
Yeah, well, 1989.
When this guy named Patrick Henderson started making music.
That's when things changed. Listen, let me get Charles. You're the last caller on this subject. Welcome to Patrick Henderson's Meet the People. Do you have a question or comment, sir?
I have a comment.
Yes, thank you. Come forward.
Yeah, those that dropped the Bible, they picked up the N-word, and they will fight you to the death to defend the right to use it.
It's American. They have a right to it. It's America. Your freedom of speech. What is your argument about it?
They replaced the Bible with the N-word.
Yes, sir.
Is that really what we have been reduced to?
I don't think that people have even done that. I think that's a far-fetched idea, sir.
Is that off topic?
Well, not only off topic, but Nelson or Nielsen? Nielsen, welcome to Patrick Henderson's Meet the People. Do you have a question or comment, sir?
It's a common question. How you doing?
Man, I'm blessed.
How you doing, Patrick? It's always a pleasure. You know, I get a chance to call in when I can.
Thank you.
A pleasure. I know you told me to call more often.
Yes,
but
sir.
I want to say, man, you're exactly right. You're exactly right. You know, the number one thing problem in churches there, I'm sorry to say this, I don't want to upset nobody. They're coming for entertainment. No anointing.
Always have. But you know what? Sometimes that entertainment used to capture them. Sometimes people's lives was changed. I'll never forget, now I'm going to move on. Well, this woman stood up at West Anderson, Bishop Blake asked, he said, what did I say this morning that y'all caused you to change your life and come to God?
Yeah.
She said, oh, it wasn't nothing you said. The choir sang, if you tried everything and everything has failed, try Jesus. That's why I'm here. He said that was a wake-up call to him. Okay, so I'm telling you, it's always the element of entertainment. We have to be entertained. The stage is so powerful.
Yeah, how different is the attendance when Sister Sherry comes there?
But what you say, Pat, is so true. And a lot of time with it, the regular singers and the main people who sing, sometimes they forget you gotta give everybody a chance. I know you got the good singers there. Don't get me wrong. I know you want to go for a good singer.
Well, yeah, you want to put your best foot.
It's not about us. It's about the Lord.
I have heard. I never forget, James. I don't know if you were at that James Cleveland convention one year when this elderly lady stood. I don't know if it was Detroit or where it was, but she had a hump in her back. She could barely walk, and everybody, the young folks were sniggling and stuff. Her voice was trembling when she got through singing, "I love the Lord, He heard my cry." Man, it was tears flowing. People, she tore that church up. So I'm gonna tell you too, it ain't about the voice; it's about the song, man.
The most electric times at the Gospel Music Workshop in Miami, we had a group that came up in bib overhauls. Do you know what they are?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and everybody in the audience was sniggling.
I was there,
and laughing.
Yeah,
and those babies came and killed us.
Oh, I'm telling you, man, it's about the song. Thank you so much, Nelson, for calling. All right, my man.
God bless you, man, and continue to stay strong in the word of God.
Bless God. Thank you.
Baltimore and WERQ FM HD3 Baltimore. Brought to you by Live Casino and Hotel.
The views and opinions of the guest and host you hear are not necessarily those of the staff and management of Radio 1, its sponsors, or advertisers.
The following program is a rebroadcast.
Got a word to do for the Lord. And
we're back on. God bless each and every one of you. I wanted to talk. We're going to take let me take that one more call, and we're going to get on our other subject matter for today. This is the last subject on this, but James has been trying to get me to do an hour and a half on this, and we promise you it's coming. It is coming very soon, and maybe I can get Yolanda Adams and some other people on here, and my V. Michael McKay, who wrote The Battle Is Not Yours. Some of those people, some of those great writers on here, and we can talk about this some more. We've got Jerry online too. Jerry, good morning or good afternoon, sir. How are you? Thank you. Are you there?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, very well.
Yes, I was calling because I believe that the young people ain't coming to church because we're not outreaching as much in the neighborhood.
Amen.
And actually meeting their needs.
Yes, sir.
Like I know a lot of people, young people, who want to actually see the results, not just hear how good God is.
Right.
We got to show the evidence, because that is faith is the substance of things hoped for, but the evidence of
things not seen. You know what, Jerry? You know what? You're so right. I've sent several pastors the 4 church models that are thriving, the churches that are thriving with these 4 models. One of the main one is called the dinner church, where they reach out and they have dinners through the week, and people, divorcees, homeless people, everybody comes together, and it builds this real body of Christ, a real body of caring. And the other model is the outreach, as you say. I mean, consistent outreach. There's a church in Virginia, right outside of Arlington, Virginia, that has got thousands of people doing. But the reason they're growing is because of outreach. So just so what you say, all right, thank you, Jerry. I hear you should have turned your radio down, but we didn't get a feedback. But thank you for calling. All right, Baltimore, we are going to do a show on this and let us all give our input, because the church is important. I think the church is important. I think that it is, without the church, which was once the center of our being. You know, I think it's important.
And I think I have a surprise for you. The artistic director of Gospel Sans Voix, it's called 100 Gospel Singers, is based in Paris. It's a beautiful production. They have an 18-wheel truck that takes them various places. I sang with them a couple of times. But their artistic director is here in the U.S. until the end of October. I've already talked to her, actually, and she said that she'd be happy to talk about gospel performance in European settings.
So book her, Jason. Let's book her.
And she was on. They were on Britain's Got Talent, and they were finalists with Simon Cowell.
Wow, with Simon Cowell?
Yeah.
Y'all know who he is. He don't like nothing.
Well, he loved them.
I'm sure he did, man.
She is
There's
here.
something about that anointing on the songs,
I have her phone number. She is here. She's in Roanoke, Virginia right now, and she'll be here till October.
We will get her, book her. We will definitely do that. As many of you know, as some of you might not know, in yesterday's paper, there was an article about the lawsuits that are mounting up against the Baltimore City Police Department. Richard, are you still there?
No, I just woke up. I took my nap for a little while.
What you trying to say?
That's all right. When we do that hour and a half show, Richard knows more about the church in Baltimore than a whole bunch of people, and he gonna get some 411 that y'all might not have made.
We were trying to save his souls.
Yeah. Well, his soul is saved, thank God, and he's an angel already living here on earth. But I wanted to talk about the lawsuits that are mounting up over the police department. These suits are just unbelievable. In that 2 months past, I'm reading from the Baltimore Sun. 2 months passed since Gary Brown accused Baltimore police officers of stealing $11,000 from him. And if he had any chance of getting that money back, he needed people to believe him. So on August the 27th, 2009, Brown took a lie detector test, and he passed. The same day, one of the officers accused Michael Sylvester walked into an M&T bank to cash a negotiable instrument worth $10,842, according to federal court records. Sylvester then deposited $6,000 in cash into his destination's credit union account in Parkville, a transaction so out of character that bankers there filed a suspicious activity report with the United States Treasury Department, according to several federal lawsuits against the police department. Two officers with Sylvester when he stopped Brown, Jason Giordano and Jamel Ryam, later misled internal investigators and flunked a lie detector test about the encounter, according to court filings and investigative notes. Still, the Baltimore State's Attorney's Office made the decision not to bring criminal charges against the officers even before the investigation concluded, according to records and lawsuits. More than a year after federal prosecutors convicted 8 Baltimore police officers of sweeping corruption charges, the city faces a wave of new litigation, even as older lawsuits wind through the system. Rather than end a sordid and difficult time for the department, the criminal trials and plea bargains produced evidence that's now exposing the city to potentially devastating civil damages, records show. The court filings see tens of millions of dollars and dredge up old allegations while highlighting new ones with details never before released, such as the bank deposit and treasury alert. And unlike the focus on specific crimes by Wayne Jenkins and his gun task force, these lawsuits introduce a timeline of what attorneys call decades of corruption in the department. To prove the most crucial elements of the lawsuits, that Baltimore police have a pattern and practice of poor training and civil rights violations that leadership ignored, attorneys argue that only the names of the officers and task force have been changed. The tainted flex squads of the early 2000s gave way to dishonest SET teams, which led to the VCIS and most recently the Gun Task Force lawsuits. They say Jenkins and other colleagues weren't an aberration. In other words, they wasn't nothing new. This happened all the time, the plaintiffs argue.
Correct.
But the natural outcome of years of neglect, poor training, and a lack of will to stop the abuses. Defendant of the Baltimore Police Department has implemented a policy or custom of condonation. In other words, condoning or deliberate indifference to use the excessive force, illegal search and seizures, and misuse of police powers by defendant and the BPD. Attorneys John Rhodes wrote in a lawsuit filed on July the 7th by his client Nancy Hamilton. Defendant Baltimore Police Department has failed to adequately train and supervise officers in proper arrest, search, and seizure and use of police powers and use of force. In June, a Baltimore Sun investigation called attention to lax supervision in the police department plainclothes units, which critics say contributed to a culture of corruption. 2 or more lawsuits have been filed since then. Many of the court filings specifically cite the Sun reporting. City Solicitor Andre Davis did not return in this article. City attorneys have not filed written responses to an August lawsuit filed by Herbert Tate or to the filing by Hamilton, who said members of the gun task force kidnapped and assaulted her. On Thursday, the city asked a federal judge for more time to respond, according to the filing in federal court. The same day, the Office of Baltimore City's attorney said it would move to dismiss nearly 800 cases tainted by the gun task force. Davis and other city attorneys have argued that the department is not liable in the lawsuits because the actions of Jenkins, Ryan, and other officers were so far outside the scope of their duties that they alone are responsible for any civil verdicts. It is a critical point because under terms of memorandum, now I want y'all to listen to this. Under terms of a memorandum of understanding with the police department, Baltimore police must pay all costs and judgment against officers sued in the line of duty. Did you know that, James C. Morant?
No, I didn't.
Did you know that, Richard Terry?
I knew it.
No.
Of course you knew it?
Yeah, because how they do it, how you have to look at it with these civil cases are, the officer gets sued, but because the officer is an agent of the agency, they're going by what's called the deep pockets theory. Mm-hmm. They're going after the deepest pockets being the city.
The deepest pocket being the city, but why wouldn't they, if this was the law, why wouldn't they make these officers have some sort of bonding so that the city would be off of...
Now, this is where I just found something 2 minutes ago that's going to... You know good and well, Patrick, that I have written a proposed bill with regards to creating bonds for law enforcement officers in this city.
Yes, you have. Mm-hmm.
And it has been submitted to members of the Maryland General Assembly now. I had a meeting with one 4 days ago.
Oh, okay.
And they told me point blank that the General Assembly probably wouldn't look at it.
Really?
Really. But now, I am now looking, and it's sitting on my screen right now, the 2019 update of the Virginia Code. And guess what I have in front of me? In Section 52-7 of the Virginia Code, bonds of police officers, liability insurance policies. And guess how far back this goes? I'm looking at the history.
How far?
1929.
What?
Oh, my goodness.
1929?
1929. And the way that this is written, it's almost identical to what I have created. Only thing I'm going to have to do now is just update what I had done, because it has some things in here that I like. But this goes back to 1929. In fact, I'm looking at the history notes now. Not 1929, 1926.
Wow.
And then it was revised again in 1940, 1942.
Did it become law of the land, or was it just unto Virginia?
This is just Virginia.
Okay.
Just in the state of Virginia.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So this has been updated constantly over the years. And it's to where it is now. And it's sitting where the police officers, especially if they come under the offices of the Virginia State Police, they have to have a $75,000 bond. The bond I had and what I had proposed was $1 million. And the way that it was to be paid for, and it's written here in this bill, this law, shall I say,
Virginia law. Go ahead.
that the department would pay the premiums out of funds that are submitted to it by the Virginia General Assembly.
Who would be defending any claims against the bond? Would it be still the city solicitor, or would it be some sort of insurance company?
It would be the insurance company that would then represent that would deal with it. Because the way that I had it created, it would only kick in if the officer who is accused of certain specific offenses was found guilty. Then that's when the bond would kick in, and then that would be between the insurance company and the victim.
Wow, I like that, but I think the cap here is $400,000.
Correct.
And would that get it a bit federally? There are no caps on what
Correct. There are no caps,
right?
Correct.
But in the state it's only $400,000.
Right.
Am I correct?
That's correct.
That's on any municipality or public employees.
Which I think is wrong. I mean, they cut off your leg in the hospital and your hand too, and all you're gonna get $400,000, and you're maimed for the rest of your life. Why should it be limited to that? But then.
And the city.
Not only is this thing, and I'm also understanding that there's a similar law in Newark, New Jersey. I haven't been able to find that yet, but I will try to find it. But this what I'm reading now and what I'm looking at now is identical to what I have created.
Do you all feel that we should talk? We're setting up an agenda that we want to give to the politicians that are running. This is something that should be. I think we've already included this, haven't we? Yes, we already have it. So we're going to be coming forth and reading that to you and asking your input on it very soon. PFK Boom, how are you today? So good to hear your voice. I heard you this morning. Well, that's just why I said to hear your voice. How are you?
How you doing, friend? How you doing, brothers? How everybody doing?
We're good.
It was beautiful to hear the history that the brother who was just speaking, which has a great deal in us knowing where we at now, where we see here. There's many laws that be created in, let's say, legislation, but do they get enforced? No. Do it just be dry ink? And that's what we experience. And I used to get into a situation where I said, well, let's work with the laws we do have and see what are we getting. And I look at it and I see nothing but injustice, or like right now, we'll say reform, but as we look at the history, we'll see that if we reform, we just regurgitating the same cycle as I've been seeing for the past administrations. We can't even say if they're wrong, we can't say if they're right, but if we keep using the same template without using, like you just said, in 1926, and start going to history and adding that to the present, because right now, I'm telling you, Patrick, as I look at, I'm 46, when I look at 1 plus 1 equals 2. Everything that's going on in Baltimore should be going on. Y'all call it violence. I call it a situation with a solution, because we didn't go all the way back. And when I say that mass incarceration, you just read the laws and legislation and lawsuits. I'll say to you, Patrick, I stayed in solitary confinement for 3.5 years straight for a murder I didn't do. By record, it says if you stay in solitary more than 6 months, the mind deteriorates. I was 19 when that happened. So when all this lawsuit going on, we have children and adult male men, meaning they're not all the way mentally as men coming out at 30. They are male men. Half of their brain is male, so they're reactionaries. And we're talking about we have killers, but we are not getting down to the Clinton administration with the legislation of 3 strikes you're out and all that. And we're talking about
Joe Biden. Yeah, Joe Biden was one of the progenitors of it. He's running for president, and black people have the nerve to vote for him.
Yes, if you look at your product of citizens in Baltimore, and I even use myself, we are either some way connected to the judicial system, or just left the judicial system, and we only have, you want me to vote, which I will, but for my mailman mental, I'm only worrying about food, water, shelter at that point at 30 years old, returning from prison. I'm not thinking about actually registering a vote, and that's if I'm going to be living where I need to be in my district next year, because I'm eating from food to mouth. So in a city like Baltimore, we want a lot of great things, but we really need to look at, like this gentleman just did, what these things like mass incarceration, what these things about lack of education has gotten us where we are right now, and we are asking and expecting too much of the citizens citizens, and when they don't show up, we want to blame the citizen or the youth or even a person like me who been home 20 years and I never used nothing but God to keep me home because Baltimore did not have nothing for me as I returned from a citizen. So that's my personal thing, but that's not the next man. But we all we got, we all we need. Yes. And I just say that we have the solutions, but understand when you have children and not children, if you don't love yourself and you try to go hug one of these kids, they're going to know. You got to love yourself.
That's
before
right.
you hug one of these babies.
Because they will they can smell it. They can smell it in the water.
Right. So the thing about it is unconditional love.
Yes, man.
Unconditionally loving yourself before you can hold these babies. I love y'all.
Wait, but hold on. I want to ask you one question. I believe that they know the ratio of people, of young people and older people who have lead poison, but yet there are no centers. There are no place these people can go to and get help. Well, do you think that might help the case?
I'm going to give it something to you real bigger than this, Pat. This is what it is. They took blood and they gave y'all lead money. But see, with the Children syndrome, if I got lead, right, and it's in my bone marrow, and I have sex with another young lady that got it in her bone marrow, and we make a baby, we had made a children. They know that.
There you go.
They don't go into the bone marrow to see the lead that's in the man, woman, and child.
That's
they go into the blood. So now they know what they making. That's why, unfortunately, it's the crab bowl where you think we killing each other, but it's the male man children syndrome that has been created by O'Reilly and all of them.
My God. Thank you, man. That's just it. I never heard it on that order, but it's sad. Thanks, PFK. I'm sorry to cry, man, but that's straight up what is happening.
And
Thanks,
Patrick, what's interesting about what Boom was saying, the compensation, the challenges to try to get compensation for being unjustly incarcerated or the deprivations of your civil rights in some cases is the road to try to get compensation is so hard in this city. You first have to establish within 3 years from the time that you may have been victimized in order to file a claim. And in many cases, they'll argue in court, like in our particular case, when that time of incident actually happened. Now, in many cases, you have folks that have been wrongfully incarcerated, still serving incarceration right now, and have no access to file a civil lawsuit. So when they get out, by the time they get out, the statute of limitation has run out. Right, the statute of limitation has run out, and they can't file a claim.
Yeah, I know, man.
The Tort Claims Act.
Yeah,
correct.
Yeah, it is sad. Eric, 410-481-1010. Let's talk about this. I mean, he brought me to my tears because what PFK Boom just said is so true. Nobody seems to care when they say that. What's the name of the place where they take people downtown to the police department? Central Booking. They say 40% of all the 18 to 25 years olds have mental problems when they bring them in there. So this is not normal to be killing.
It's one particular substance abuse issue.
Right.
That lead poison suffers from it bad. I mean, it's in all of us, but she suffers from it really bad. So it's like stuff where I'll be having to try to figure out what's going on. Just go off and on. It's bad.
Yeah.
But knowing this, and we knowing what they have done and continue to do, like Boone said, man. But then everybody, I trip when I listen to our black elected officials or people who was in position just to constantly ask for votes. I mean, to repeat the same cycle. And you know, it bothers me. It hurts me. You know, they throw this notion out there to vote for this person if you want change, and if you don't vote, it's not going to be any change. But then when you do vote, you see the same thing, the same cycle.
Repeat itself.
You know.
Yes, sir. I heard it this morning.
You know, this thing about the police department and everybody. I mean, we knew this for years. Citizens been crying out for this for years.
Yeah.
You know, the things they've been doing. What hurt me more than anything is that it's our people.
Yes, man.
That allows this to happen and perpetuate this to happen.
Yes, sir.
But how do we hold them accountable?
How do we hold them accountable?
What is it
that
you do?
The only way to hold anybody anywhere accountable is to get them out of office. But unfortunately, we have been too programmed to vote for certain people for certain reasons instead of thinking about it, looking at it from all sides and make an informed decision. We just go along and just go along to get along.
But Richard, okay, now they're in office. Now how do we hold them accountable? Once we voted them in,
unfortunately, the way the laws are written in this state, getting them out of office is darn near impossible. That's why we had that problem with the removing the former mayor from office, because nothing is specifically written within the Baltimore City Code, the Maryland Charter, or anything else under the sun.
But sometimes when you change the political powers to be, it still doesn't change anything. I actually tried to bring my case to Patricia Jessamy, to Greg Bernstein. I protested for almost a whole month every weekend at his house, trying to get him to look at our case with the corruption that was going on in Southern District with the police and the task force over in Southern District. And I even took my case to Marilyn Mosby. By the time I got my case to Marilyn Mosby, they said, oh, the statute of limitation to most of the claims that you're making has ran out.
I think, Patrick and you guys, I think we need a serious vetting process, not just amongst all blacks, because obviously everything black ain't black.
Come on.
We talking about.
See, you done stop preaching and going to meddling now. Say that again, my brother. All black ain't black.
Your skin folk ain't your kinfolk.
The ones that's actually suffering, the ones that actually that's living this life day to day. I mean, we need a serious vetting process before a candidate is even put up.
You know what? Thank you, Eric. Listen, we got more. So we'll hold on for just a minute. What we're doing is we're coming together with a lot of the leaders and people of the city, and we're putting down an agenda that we want to present to all of the people that are going to be running for office. And the ones that consent to the agenda that the people have set forth, those are the ones we're going to vote for and put our money and our time behind. And if they don't, then we're going to make sure to do our best to make sure they don't get elected. Thank you so much, Eric. The great call, man. I appreciate it. And God bless your wife, man. Thank you for calling. All right, we got Carlos. Carlos, welcome to Patrick Henderson's Meet the People. Do you have a question or comment, sir?
Yes, sir. I have a quick comment in terms of the overall perception or actions of our officials. The great John Henry Clark said that white supremacy is a worldwide system, and that those who walk among us who pretend to be black have assumed the position of honorary whites, and so that they can play both roles, and to many to a large extent to our demise. But let me go to the central question: if the Baltimore City Police Department, if they are a state agency, does that mean that the state of Maryland is also subject to the liability,
Richard,
the actions of the agent?
Richard,
I'm thinking about that. That's an interesting question.
Yeah, it is.
Which is a distinct possibility.
So why is the city being put on the hook if the state is in control? Is that the question?
Well, the state may be in control technically according to the law, but it's been normally under the control of the mayor of the city of Baltimore, who has the right to choose the commissioner of that agency.
Interesting.
I have a second question.
Great question.
I'll get off here with this. If the mass incarceration has wrongly impacted our community, as we understand. We have a new task force in which the United States Attorney Robert Hur spoke to, in which he says that all hands are on deck and that they will not tolerate any kind of unlawfulness, drug dealing, and gun trafficking among. Now, if that amounts to zero tolerance, is that the same thing that we had before, or is a difference there? Because we have to take a stand as a community. Can we tolerate any unlawfulness, any drug dealing, anything in our community, or do we want to put a foot down or stamp that out completely. And so that's my question, is that...
well, I heard that interview with him on Larry Young's show. It was a great interview. I was surprised that I'd never heard of him before.
And he was straightforward. Let me put it that way.
He was. He was straightforward, and I'm not really clear. Was he speaking pertaining to the people and the police department? Right? He's just
yes. He was speaking. He was speaking across. He said that they would be housed in one central location.
Okay.
And I think that's in the Southern District somewhere. They have a building down there.
Oh.
And that they will be interacting as one.
It's actually in the county.
It's in the county?
Yes, it's in the county. And the feds are flipping the bill for the location.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's going to be one gigantic strike force.
Correct.
If that is the case, is this the zero tolerance coming back to us again? And are we as a community willing to tolerate that?
No, we're not. And I would hopefully... Thank you, Carlos. Hopefully, they would be constitutional, whatever they do.
Well, here's the problem.
Okay.
If the feds are controlling it, they don't have to worry about that consent decree.
Really?
Correct.
What do you mean they don't have
because
to?
Because the consent decree is between
the city and the feds.
Correct.
If the feds control everything, they don't have to worry about it. They can act the way they want to act.
So they're not under a consent decree.
So they could do something besides this consent decree and from another act that was put into place by the federal government? Is that what you're saying?
In essence, in essence, it's the feds that are going to control this whole thing.
You're saying that his task force supersedes anything related to the consent decree?
Federally, yes.
Wow.
And you already see it already because in some cases, they said it's going to be 19 agencies that are all involved. One of them happens to be Homeland Security and as well as ICE. And we already know that they're not going to check immigration status in this state.
When they go for it. let me get see you, Leo. Let me get Mark, and I'll come right to you. Hi, Mark. Welcome to Patrick Henderson Meet the People. You have a question or comment?
Yeah, how y'all doing, Pat?
It's Mark C. Mark Cannon. How are you? We good? What's going on?
I'm good. Hey, I want to make an announcement real quick.
Go ahead.
Before I say anything. Look, man, we're gonna be meeting today at St. Martin's Church at Madison Avenue and North Avenue at 6:00, Pat. We've been since before Labor Day with the Muslim brothers and other faith people and everybody walking North Avenue with resources from the mayor's office.
Yes, sir. I heard about it. Great idea. Go ahead.
Yeah, so we're going to be doing that if anybody...
At 6:00? At 6:00?
Yeah, if anybody wants to...
St. Martin. And where's it located?
It's located at 2118 Madison Avenue.
Okay.
Right north of Madison.
Yeah, just off of North Avenue.
Madison Ave.
Pat and guys, you know, I've never seen this level of I didn't agree with everything that Pugh did, but what she did do is she did create the Office of Male Engagement that's working with young people that's part of this, that's giving out information for the mayor's office, employment and stuff like that. And she did realize that the squeegee kids, I heard a sound bite, Patrick, and Fox didn't play it this morning where she said some of them are homeless, some of them don't have a GED, and if they were white, do you think Jack Young would be kicking it to the police department with all these murders and stuff like this, talking about he's concerned about the safety, them in and out of traffic, not saying anything about why they out there and stuff like that. And she was looking for $2 million to help them out. But, he said in the meeting, Patrick, I was sitting right there, talking about, we should create a courtesy, customer service class. Just
you were speaking was that at the synagogue, or which meeting?
That was in the call to action meeting when he said that.
Oh, okay, I wasn't there. All right.
On the news recently, they talking about the police and everything on top of the squeegee kids and talking about SWAT and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, and then he had the FOP, man. He had a meeting with them and the commissioner because they've been undermining the commissioner, and he said that they should stop tweeting and that they should stop undermining the commissioner.
Yeah.
And you know what? The FOP tweeted back to him. We're confused because we had a meeting with you Monday just passed, and you canceled the meeting because you mad with us. You can't govern the city in your feelings, bro.
Yeah.
And then they went around and said they're going to come up with their own crime plan.
And so everybody's waiting, right?
Yeah.
We're all waiting. Thanks, Mark C. Thank you. Do we have to go to commercial now? You're listening to Patrick Henderson's Meet the People on WOLB 1010. We got Leo Burrows coming up, and as soon as we get back, so y'all know it's finna get live. Don't you touch that dial.
Talk in the day. Soul at night on the new 1010 WOLB.
Foreclosure. If foreclosure is a word you're hearing and worrying about, you need to get a fresh start now. Call Jeff Cerroti to stop foreclosure at 410-999-8000. Stop the harassing phone calls. Sleep easier. Set up a free in-office consultation with Jeff Cerroti himself to get your fresh start. Cerroti and Associates are the bankruptcy specialists. They've been helping Marylanders stop foreclosures and get out from under their mounting bills for over 25 years. Foreclosure stopped or set up a free in-office consultation. You'll sit down with Jeff Cerroti to discuss your situation. No obligation, but if you do proceed, mention WOLB for a special discount. Call today, 410-999-8000 or freshstartlaw.com to get your financial fresh start and stop foreclosure with the bankruptcy specialist, Cerroti and Associates. They're convenient to the Beltway with free parking. Stop foreclosure. Stop garnishment. Call Cerroti and Associates today at 410-999-8000. We're a debt relief agency helping people file bankruptcy under the bankruptcy code.
Hey there, it's Marette Brown Clark, and I'm so excited to announce the return of one of my favorite events of the year. It's the Praise 106.1's First Ladies Tea and Luncheon. Yes, it's back, and on Saturday, October 26th at Martin's West. I'll be your host once again this year with special musical guest Vashawn Mitchell performing live. So join us as we honor the unsung heroes of the Baltimore church community, the fabulous First Ladies. You know, the ones who always go above and beyond for the congregation and put their church and community first. So if you know a First Lady that fits this description, you can nominate them to finally get the recognition they deserve. Just go to praisebaltimore.com and tell us all about your First Lady and the great things she does. You have until September 15th to enter. Then all of Baltimore will have a chance to vote for their favorite First Lady. The 10 nominees that get the most votes will be honored at the 3rd annual First Ladies Tea and Luncheon on October 26th. So go to praisebaltimore.com right now for complete rules. It's the return of the First Ladies Tea and Luncheon. When I say I can't wait, I cannot wait. I'll see you there with Praise 106.1.
WOLB Baltimore and WERQ FM HD3 Baltimore.
The views and opinions of the guest and host you hear on 1010 WOLB
are not necessarily those of the staff and management of Radio 1, its sponsors, or advertisers.
It's done unto you as you believe.
It's done unto you as you believe. It's done unto you. We've got 35. Well, it's 12:35 here on this beautiful Monday morning. We're going to go to our old comrade and man about the street. I think they call him the old soldier. I can't remember the title Larry has for him, but I like it. Hello, Leo Burrows. How are you today?
The old soldier's on the phone.
All right.
Hey, Leo.
Come
Good
forth.
Afternoon,
Good afternoon,
Patrick.
Good afternoon.
And Jim and everybody. Just to talk about what I heard you speaking about earlier about accountability. One area of vulnerability for the city leadership, city mayor and president, city council and others, this matter of enforcement of the laws surrounding the collection of past due big business water bill fees. Why? And I'm willing to enter into a class action lawsuit. But why have we not forced this issue, given the fact that we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars owed by big businesses, some of whom are not-for-profit corporations, University of Maryland Medical
the
System,
Zoo,
Johns Hopkins, Maryland Zoo in Baltimore. We can go on and on. How do you escape the enforcement of the fiduciary responsibilities of your office as a public official? Is that not malfeasance when you consciously take homes away from individual homeowners, but you allow big businesses not to pay, and it has been documented.
Yes.
I think we have to pursue.
But you can't get a lawyer. We've been trying, Leo. You know, we talked to Dwight Petty. No lawyer will take it because they don't want to sue the city
and the
like that.
Monumental Bar has been complacent on many of the issues in our community.
I'm going to strive harder to find somebody or bodies that are going to represent the interests of the people, because there ought to be prosecution. There ought to be the cutoff of water, just as you do with the individual.
Exactly, electricity, they turn it off.
The city solicitor is Andre Davis, who is suspect for a lot of reasons. He should be, as the city's lawyer, tasked with the responsibility of recouping the losses that have been stolen from the citizens. They always talk about they don't have money. They have plenty of money to look out for the interests of their friends.
Thank you so much, Leo. Appreciate that very much. Listen, a young man that I admire, just watched him for years, and he's just kicking up some dust here that I'm liking the dust. I'm seeing his tracks and trying to put mine up off in it. Christopher Irving, how are you today, sir?
Good morning, Patrick, or good afternoon at this point. I'm fine. How are you?
Good afternoon. I would like to play for you all something that happened this past Thursday night at Brandon Scott's forum in Pikesville. And check this out.
Say again, who do you support for the Public Safety Commission? What public safety? Public Safety Board. Which public safety? For the city. What, you're talking about for the council itself? Yes. Or there's multiple public safety. Okay. So which one are you talking about? I thought it was for the city council. So the public safety, the committee itself, I picked the people. Yeah, that's what I heard. So I've already put the people on the committee. So the members are Burnett's vice chair, Seifler is the chair, Councilwoman Craig, Councilwoman Sneed, Councilman Cohen, and Councilman Pinker. Those are the members. Now, there are other boards for the city that I don't pick, like the police commissioner has his own board, the governor has the board that they have. Okay. Also, I heard you mention reading partners. Yes. I've been tutoring for them for the last 4 years. Yes, sir. Thank you. Would you favor, and would you do something to help us get reading partners in every elementary school? So we talked about that. And one, you know that the first thing is that what programs are in the school, not even the school CEO can demand that they have them. The principals themselves have that autonomy. So school principals can do that. They can say, so like, for example, some high schools choose to have the college-bound foundation, some don't. That autonomy is at the principal. Don't you think it's time we have the best practices for school? I'm with you, but when they do to change that, though? Well, only the school board can change the policy.
I want to stop right there. There are 2 points. One was who was he directing and putting in the public safety as commissioner or person to oversee that. I'm going to start with that one, and then I will go to the school. What are your thoughts on that, Christopher?
So I was having a hard time hearing it on my end, but as it relates to public safety just in general, and again, I was having a hard time hearing the context of what was going on in the discussion. But I just think that in the scope of where we are in Baltimore City right now, with so much focus, whether it be on the police, whether it's on the consent decree, whether we're talking about the gun trace task force, etc., there is a public safety committee that exists on the Baltimore City Council at this time. And I don't think we've heard enough from the Public Safety Committee. We don't know what the mission of the committee is, when in fact as the Public Safety Committee changes from chair to chair, the new chair can issue a new mission statement or adopt the old one.
Can you explain to the public what that public safety commissioner, that person does, what they're responsible to do, so everybody knows? I'm not sure everybody does.
Well, that's a part of what they're supposed to establish.
Oh, they're to define it.
As much as I would love to be the person who sets that mission, is actually up to the chair, who at this time is Councilman Isaac Schleifer. And again, as of this date, there still is no mission statement that I know of. You can readily call right down to City Hall and find out what it is once it's issued.
Is Schleifer the one that works with, what was the name of the, that gave the station wagon or the SUV?
Sean Rim.
Show Rim? Is he the guy that got that car for them?
Yes.
Hold on, can I ask a question?
Yes.
Are you all talking the criminal justice committee inside the city council or the criminal justice coordinating council? They're two separate.
We're talking about the public safety committee.
Well, the public safety committee is inside of the city council, but there's also, which technically is like oversees a lot of this stuff, is the criminal justice coordinating council, which has components of every agency within the city of Baltimore.
Don't they have a leader? There's not a principal leader, or they're all...
There is a principal leader to it. They have somebody who the mayor brought in maybe a year or so ago.
But I think your issue was you were at Brandon Scott's town council, town hall, and you wanted to know what his plans were for public safety,
and who was
outside and within the council.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and we don't know the answer to that.
No,
that's within the council, but I still say you got to look at it's much bigger than that, because there's also parts within the Baltimore City Code where there are supposed to be other committee and task force that are set up inside of city council should know about them, and the mayor's office knows about them.
Right, but I think the main committee is that public safety committee that tends to be very vocal and tends to be the one that actually is asking for a policing plan from the commissioner.
Okay, then that's inside of city council itself.
Right, and that's the context in which Patrick was asking the question.
Yes.
Yeah, if I could. When we have elected officials are supposed to be the greatest advocate for the people or the constituents who have elected them. And so again, within Baltimore City right now, what is the biggest conversation? Around crime. Now, public safety covers far more than just crime, criminality, or criminal justice. But in this specific regard, we have a committee that is a standing committee right now that has no mission statement, and we hear very little from.
Interesting. My next question to him was, what was he going to do about the school? Year after year, I've been to the Board of Education, and I've said the same thing to them that I said to him. They tell me that the principals have autonomy. And I asked why there was not a best practices for all of the schools. You have to do this, you have to do that. By giving the autonomy to the principals, in other words, autonomy means they make the choice of what they do in their schools, then we keep getting these park tests where 90% of the kids, 95% can't even read at grade level, and math is just unbelievable, and it goes on year after year. What are we going to have to do to get this changed? Why can't there be a best practices system in our school system, James?
I don't know. When there came a period of time when they decided to decentralize a lot of the functions of toward the principals, and I think that's what he's saying. The principal has the autonomy to do.
But aren't they required to give results?
I don't think that they have a standard set of things that they are supposed to come up with. And what you were asking was, why isn't that one of the standards? Why isn't that one of the things that the principal is evaluated?
Yeah, like putting reading partners or reading program into every school, because if the kid can read, he can do math. If he can't read, he can't do anything. And he says that the principals are against it. This I find incredulous.
I don't think the principals are against it. What I think is happening with the principals is that they have more functions than they have money.
Well, so then the school board in the city should make sure that it only costs $20,000 to put that program in a school. $20,000, that ain't poopy duty.
But if you listen to some of the statements that Brandon Scott has said, Council President Scott has said recently at some of these town halls, Baltimore City has not been running efficiently for over 35 years or more.
Longer than that, I would say, yes. That's since Schaefer left? Would that be about
to me, the research that I've done goes back even further than that.
I know it does.
I keep telling you that blacks have never had a fair opportunity here in Baltimore City since Lord Baltimore first stepped his first ship.
I used to be happy to get Polly hand-me-down books. So let's talk about education in Baltimore.
Yeah. Richard, What do you think? What are your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are the problems that with the principals are afraid that if they do say something or they will be losing their job, so they allow what goes on in their schools, and then that's where we're starting to get also these things that we're seeing on 45 with the changing of grades, where this whole thing with the social promotion has gotten out of hand, because if the actual numbers of failing students ever got out, you would be seeing a lot of changes and a lot of principals losing their jobs, and that's where the problem is.
I tell you what, I believe we need to march on the school board and tell them if these principals are not performing, they need to lose their jobs. And there's something else I'm going to read to you. We're going to go to the next subject right quick. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Christopher. I don't know if you got to go, but thank you. You might want to stick around for this. But y'all's president is coming to town on Thursday.
Your president?
No, he ain't my president. I get to claim who it is. I didn't vote for him, so that means and he ain't nothing to me. And if anybody's in their right mind, he won't be nothing for them. That the man is mentally ill, and we won't admit it. Boy, I tell you what, the stuff he's getting away with. Can you imagine Barack Obama doing an nth of what he's done?
I don't know, but what's good for the goose is good for the gander. We used to tell white folks to respect our president when President Barack Obama was in there, so we got to respect this one that's in there too.
They can kiss the pink part of my derriere before I do that.
I don't believe Jason just said that.
Yeah, I don't believe he said it tongue in cheek.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Thursday he's coming to be more. What do you want to know, or what do you want to say to him? 410-481-1010. What do you want to say to y'all's president when he comes to town? He's called us a rat hole, and I put on Facebook, I'm calling all rats. Show up and show out down there. Run across their feet.
Won't get anywhere near him.
That's all right. The rats can get close and let them fire at them.
Well, I have a friend that is whose daughter works at Legg Mason downtown, and they have been given off Thursday and Friday because of it.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to shut that whole area down.
Yeah, that motorcade is going to be crazy.
They're going to shut the whole place down.
Wow.
I remember when Clinton visited Schmoke years ago. I couldn't get anywhere near my house because they had shut it off as far down as Stewart Park Lake Drive and as far north as Callaway.
But you live in Ashburton.
Yeah, I know.
What?
Well, they have 4 or 5 demonstrations or celebrations that they're having during the course of his visit, beginning on Thursday and actually ending on Saturday. And the newspaper has published the listing. And then they've also created some Facebook pages. And I can't remember the title of one of them, but I got a note about it today.
These are conservatives that are putting these on?
No, these are radical.
Anti?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so it's going to get interesting.
It's going to be really interesting. I am wondering if he hears all of these things happening in Baltimore set up to demonstrate against him, I'm wondering if he will cancel.
Well, I can't believe they even planned the meeting here in the first place. The Republican National Committee planned it of all places out here in mouthed us, and then he gonna come back in here. Of course, I agreed with some of the stuff he said.
Well, but, I will also say for those that are going to make comments, it is not going to be held in Elijah Cummings' district. So, just so you know.
410-481-1010. We got 10 minutes. We got 8 minutes. If y'all want to call and say what y'all want to say to him, maybe somebody's listening. Y'all can, maybe he'll answer your question. 410-481-1010. So much going on in the city. I tell you what, there's a lot of good things happening. I don't know why we can't come together and work together. I find that to be very difficult, but I know that there are a lot of people doing some incredible things in the city for our young people. I engage the squeegees all the time and talk to them about what they're doing with the money, and most of them say, well, they're going to spend the money as soon as they make it, right, James? Yes. I said, you know what, you need to take 20%. How much you got there? You got $1? Okay, take 20 cents of that and put it somewhere and save it and stop spending all of your money. I talk to them and try to help educate them, y'all. They ain't going to
it's hard when you're already in a deficit, though.
I know, but put the thought in their mind, make them say, maybe that man is right. I'm going to put 20 cents of every dollar and see what's going to
Baltimore
go.
recreation centers are going to be open on Saturdays.
Great thing.
So that's a good thing.
I think it should be open on Sunday too, but that's, me and my, see, y'all finna start calling. Now let me get can I go ahead and start answering them, Jay? Okay, we got Bubby. Oh, hey, Bubby. Hey, Bubby, how are you?
I'm doing well. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Great show.
Thank you.
I heard the president is coming to Baltimore.
Yes, he is on Thursday.
I would like to invite him personally to Sandtown, Winchester, 21217. See, I tell everybody, it's not about trash, it's about the cash. We would like to see where the money went. We would like not for you to tell us that it went to Baltimore County. We're talking specifically 21217. Could someone show me where the investment of the federal, state, and local funds has been in Zone 17? It's not about personality to me. It's about people.
Yes, sir.
My people are hurting. My people are dying.
Neglected.
And to get back to when you were talking about police accountability, we don't need apology. We need a check from them crooked police who have ruined the lives of the men and women in 21217.
And 5.
We need Elijah Cummings to use his influence to make those people whole that they have destroyed their lives.
But you know what he said? I went to that conference.
Police corruption.
Yeah, he went to the conference. Bubby.
The most corrupt police district
Bubby.
in Western District in the history.
Bubby, he and Cardin said the other day at the Jewish synagogue that they have no input, they have no power in local affairs, and I found that to be incredulous, unbelievable that they would say that. Then why are we sending them up to Washington to represent us? I don't understand. Yes, sir.
Patrick, now you tell me if that's not a slap in the African American face.
Of course, that wasn't the only thing Cummings said.
To just try to illuminate some of the issues that we can fix with proper investment in the people.
Man, it was so easy.
Now you tell me what politician with good sense will hold a meeting concerning safety in
black community
Pikesville
at a Jewish synagogue. I know, man. He did. That was the second one. Brandon Scott held his in Pikesville. The other one was in Pikesville too. But I got to go.
If I could have asked him a question, I lived under the O'Malley regime. I would never vote for anybody who smells like O'Malley, let alone Brandon Scott.
Woo! Okay, we're gonna go. Chris, are you there?
Yes, sir. How you doing?
Yeah, we're doing good. Come quickly. I'm sorry, we're running out of time, but go ahead.
I would say to the president, thanks for the tax cut. Thanks for getting out of North Korea.
Getting out of North Korea? Man, that guy... wait a minute, hold up. He's not. We're not out of North Korea. That Jung is over there testing the head. What do you call them when they put on the head of those missiles?
Warheads.
Warheads. Right. Yes, he's testing it, but our military exercises have stopped.
And to whose advantage was that, sir? It wasn't to our advantage, was it?
Yes, it is.
How so?
Because the U.S. military tests weapons every day. Why should another country with its own elected government, or in this case, communist government, test military weapons as well? We need to stop being the police officers of the world.
I agree with you with that one, but that man and his dad and all his uncles is crazy. That young man.
They're crazy, but as long as they stay crazy with their people and not us. What did Muhammad Ali say about Vietnam? No Vietnamese ever called him the N-word.
Exactly. I agree with the 100%.
But ask them South Koreans, do they feel the same way?
No, they don't. They're starving to death, sir.
No, I'm not talking about North Korea. I'm talking about South Korea. Because I'm talking about South Korea is in fear now.
Because of
North Korea has these bombs. Right. Yes.
So South Korea sells us a lot of cars, phones, television. Should we be protecting them, or should they protect themselves?
Well, they're an ally. I would think we would help them out, don't you?
Oh, well, we'll help them out a little bit, but it's not our job to be their policemen.
Yeah.
They need to invest in their own military.
What about Africa? You don't say anything about Africa, which the Chinese now are taking control over and putting black people in jail and killing them and taking their organs. What about that?
I totally agree with you, and that's why I want the fight to China to continue. We don't need to destroy. We need to hurt the Chinese economy. And yes, you're right. One thing this president hasn't done, and he's failed, and both the last couple of presidents haven't. We need to invest more in that continent, but don't do it to exploit the continent. Do it to build that continent up. We agree on that.
We agree on that. Well, I got one other one for you. Do you believe that food stamps, Trump is planning to cut 15 million people, no, 15,000 here in Baltimore from food stamps. What are your
Terrible
thoughts on
policy.
that? Terrible policy. Well, how can you endorse him in others when you know that he's so cruel and so inhuman to people?
Patrick, that whole thing.
One thing now, you got to just, for me, you got to remember, always start at home, and where the government does have a role. I think those of us, you, myself, if we take care of ourselves, we'll have enough abundance to help take care of others. And we're doing it through our church. I know you do it through your church and through the community center.
Not like we should.
The government has a role, but we need to step up and fill that void of the
But how can we fill the void when people are making $7.25 an hour, sir? I mean, I don't think
take advantage of the stock. Man. You got to invest, save, and invest.
Well, that's like that. Who would say pull yourself up by your bootstraps? But you don't have boots. You don't even have no boots. I think that's what you're talking.
Let's start with the Nikes. A lot of us got Nikes. Let's pull ourselves up by these Nikes.
I would tell you what, I hear you. I tell people all the time, why are you buying your kid those $200 shoes? You could have bought 4 shares of Nike, and that'll put your kids through college in the next 10 years. I agree with you there,
Patrick. I think you and I agree on a lot more than you think we disagree.
Well, I am conservative as far as money is concerned. I think that the people's money, Bishop Blake, the pastor at West End, he said it's God's money. You got to manage this money. You're responsible to God. I believe the government is responsible to us for our tax dollars. That $3.4 million he's taking from the Pentagon to build that doggone wall. What you think about that, Mr. Chris?
That's jobs. That's all. That's nothing but jobs.
That he's taking away.
No.
To build the fence?
It's like building highways to nowhere. It's like
the fence.
filling potholes.
Sir, the fence. There is no security threat. Obama sent more people out of America, Mexicans out of America, than any other president in history. Yes, so why do we need this fence when it's going to take away from schools that need to be built for children on these army bases?
And what you said, Pat, if we just take away the money that we spend on war, we'd be able to take care of many of the issues in this country.
That's where we start at. The wall is one thing, but I could run down a list of military weapons and ships, billion-dollar ships that we don't need, that we're still spending money.
You know, you're a strange conservative. I want you to call another day so I can talk to you some more, because I think I can convert you and give you the Holy Ghost that you need. Thank you, sir. You need some deliverance. The Bible say that kind come out only by laying on of hands. Fasting and praying don't get that kind.
You're still a hopeful person.
I am always a hopeful person. Listen, you all, it is that time. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thanks to all of you who called us, and now we can't teach you anything. All we hope to do here is to make you think. As Socrates has said, we can't teach you anything, but if we make you think, maybe we'll all be able to gel together and get more accomplished. Thank you, James C. Morant. Thank you, Richard.
See you everybody next week.
Yes, and thank you, Jason, as usual.
Have a great week, and welcome
family,
to the
go out there and do something special for someone else. And by the way, Brother Thomas called us and said that they're already blocking traffic downtown.
Already. All right, you've been listening to Patrick Henderson's Meet the People on WOLB 1010 Baltimore. Join us this coming Sunday, every Sunday at 3:30 on Spirit 1400, and here every Monday at 11:30 on WOLB. God bless. Have a great week.
Got a work to do for the Lord, and you cannot afford to lose your way.
WOLB Baltimore and WERQ FM HD3 Baltimore. Brought to you by Live Casino and Hotel.
If you haven't paid your mortgage for months or even years, listen to this special announcement. The Foreclosure Assistance Center can stop the bank from foreclosing on your home for as little as $500. That's right, you pay just $500 for your bankruptcy protection. Save your home and get out from under those massive bills quickly and easily. Call the Foreclosure Assistance Center today at 410-415-3777. Their attorneys have over 20 years of experience. All they do is help homeowners save their homes by filing for bankruptcy. Take action now. Call 410-415-3777 or visit foreclosureassistancemd.com to pay just $500 to file for bankruptcy protection. Thousands less than most bankruptcy attorneys charge. Get out of debt immediately. Stop the harassment and keep your property. Call 410-415-3777 today. That's 410-415-3777 or check out foreclosureassistancemd.com. They are a debt relief agency. They may use the bankruptcy code to stop your foreclosure.
Talking the day, soul at night on the